Hey book readers, it's Throwback Thursday, so put on your favorite tie-dye shirt or miniskirt and gather around your color TV as I take one small step for man and chat about 5 books published in the swinging 60s. Something Wicked This Way comes from 1962. I professed my love for Ray Bradbury before, and my literary man crush on him continues in the 1960s. In this book, the lives of 2 young boys are turned upside down after a mysterious carnival comes to town. A battle between good and evil ensues in this coming-of-age story that also features a couple healthy scoops of friendship and nostalgia. It reminds me a bit of The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, with its undercurrent of creepy/enchanting/frightening feels. Even some of the main characters' names, Will Holloway, Jim Nightshade, and Mr. Dark, give off a spooky vibe. Next up is A Wrinkle in Time from 1962. This is a cozy YA fantasy that stood the test of time. Just keep in mind, though, as you're reading it, that the target audience of this novel was younger readers, so you may need to be a smidge forgiving with how it's written. It's really direct in what it's saying and how it says it, sometimes saying it in a way that feels somewhat old-fashioned, too. And since it's middle-grade literature, the characters aren't especially deep, either. The gist of the story is that a sister and brother, Meg and Charles, along with their friend Calvin, go on a crazy quest through space and time to save Meg and Charles's scientist father. They're joined by the colorful trio of Mrs. Whatsit, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Witch in a battle of good versus evil again. In a nutshell, this is a clean, easy-to-read adventure about finding your inner strength. Next up is We Have Always Lived in the Castle, also from 1962. Another creepy tale from the 1960s, this book by Shirley Jackson is a low-key horror story where the characters seem a tad off. Just enough to make your spine tingle. After some of her relatives died by poisoning a few years ago, Mary Cat Blackwood lives a mostly isolated existence along with just a couple of her remaining family members. The nearby villagers think Mary Cat's sister, Constance, was responsible for her family's deaths, so they mostly keep away from the Blackwoods. Soon, though, interactions with the townsfolk escalate in hostility, and Mary Cat's anger grows as the book explores themes of loyalty to family, exclusion, mob mentality, and female empowerment. Next up is Dune from 1965. With the release of the recent movies, Dune has seen a resurgence in popularity. And what's not to love? There is giant sandworms, life-prolonging spice, eugenics, uber-resourceful characters, and religious prophecies of a chosen one. The only thing that hinders it a tad for me is the galactic politicking and the shadow of 5 sequels looming over you if you feel like you need to make this real commitment and invest time in this world. FYI, I didn't read any of the sequels, and I don't feel like I missed a thing. And last but not least, there's Housemaid of Dawn from 1968. As I mentioned before, I took several Native American courses in college, and this was one of my favorite books that I was assigned to read. And I feel like N. Scott Momaday's Pulitzer Prize-winning book doesn't get the love nowadays that it deserves. This classic work of Native American literature is a short yet dense read that features Abel, recently returned from World War II, and he's struggling with alcoholism, violence, and his Native American heritage. Over the course of the novel, Abel is broken and healed in different ways again and again as he begins to understand the significance of family, his roots, and his connection to past generations of Native Americans. The book takes place in 4 different parts, with callbacks to elements in the previous sections. It can be a little difficult to wade through at times, but the ending is so worth it. There you have it, 5 groovy books from the 1960s that are a real gas to read. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy reading.